Today's episode of the What's That Like podcast is brought to you by Opera House Brewing Company, Hillsboro, Illinois. Hashtag drink local. What's that like? What's going on, people? Hey, it's another edition of the What's That Like podcast, and I'm your host, John Knowles. How's it going, everybody? Back for another episode here as we move towards the holidays here in 2019. Had a great episode last time with Brad Fiore and Shane Isbell talking about all their adventures, and we're going to have them back. They'll be back in the spring. They're going to be talking all about a trip they took to Vietnam, how they paddled or kayaked the Keys down in Florida, and a trip they took across England as well. So if you enjoyed that one, more to come. Our resident adventurers here on the What's That Like podcast, Brad and Shane, they'll be back. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Before we get any further along, I still want to thank our title sponsor of the show here, Opera House Brewing Company. Always excited to have those folks on board to bring you the show each and every week. They've got a lot going on over there in Hillsboro. It was Tony's birthday on I think it was November 15th. So shout out to Tony. He was 41. I was over there that night. They were brewing up some beer. All I want to say is something for the holidays. I think something good's coming, and all your favorites will be back on tap there as well. They did a new brew this past week for Veterans Day called Locked and Loaded. I tried it. It was good. I think you'd like that as well. I'm also a big fan of this other beer they've got, the raspberry saison, or saison. I don't know how you say it, but it tastes good. But it was good as well. So give that a shout, or give that a try the next time you get over there to the Opera House. We've got a show coming up. We'll have it toward the tail end. We're going to talk with Peyton and Mike Bertolis about a nice little benefit they're doing for folks. Not a benefit so much, a nonprofit that they're trying to put bicycles in the hands of kids. I guess in the hands of kids. I think that's the way to say it. And we'll talk to them a little bit later. But before we go any further, you've all been asking me, what happened to producer Bob? Bob's not been on the show. The show's not as good without producer Bob, actually. I don't know if they said that at all. But, Bob, you're in the studio.
I was going to say, where are those comments at?
I don't know.
I haven't seen those.
Yeah, but, I have had some folks say, where's Bob? What's been up to? I've been sharing some stuff that you've been working on the Facebook page, certainly. What you been up to, brother? How you been?
Oh, it's been super busy. And as you've noticed, I've been out of the studio a lot between the whole racing career, kind of taken a rise over the past couple of years from where we started to maintaining my college education. I've got what feels like 4 part-time jobs that I'm doing between working at the kart track, doing some video production stuff with a law firm, working with the kart manufacturer, doing some video production stuff, and then maintaining my own YouTube channel, my own brand still. So there's really no off days over in the life of producer Bob.
No, producer Bob. I mean, certainly Bobby Krug. I mean, that's how you're known to the rest of the world.
Right.
Of course. But, you and I started this show way back. I think it was in 2017. You were the first guest we had on, and then you kind of took on a role where you helped out with the production, hence the name. We did a lot of the Queen of Hearts stuff together over the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. And this year we've come back to show, and you've been a glaring absence.
Right.
In the show, and folks have certainly missed that. Tell us about that karting you've been doing. It's been awesome. You had a great year.
Yeah, this year was fantastic. I mean, the whole first year I got into it last year, and I didn't really know it until I got into it this year. But that first year is really just getting your feet wet and it's a whole new animal compared to running rental karts like I did at the very beginning of this career, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then running in the Margay Ignite program. The difference is you actually own your own equipment, so there's a lot of maintenance stuff that you got to learn. And I said this a couple of days ago to a couple of my friends. It's really, I did more maintenance on my kart this year in the first 3 weekends than I ever did the whole first year. So it's crazy now what I know, like how bad my kart had to have been my first rookie year. But comparing myself this year to what I performed last year to this year. My first year doing it, I got on the podium twice. I barely scratched my way to a 6th place in points. And this year, with a little bit more factory support and a lot more knowledge, I was able to get on the podium twice as many times. I got to the podium 4 times. I was really competitive. I actually qualified on the pole for one race that's called the Ignite Challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of a separate series that Margay puts on where there's actually karters that come from out of state. And instead of having the regular 12 to 15 local guys that come race with us at the Kartplex, we're getting 30, 40 people in my class. So I was able to put that 51 kart on the pole out of that many people. And there's a lot of competitive guys that come from Iowa, Indiana, that come out to race with us. So to be able to put on the pole, unfortunately, we had a little bit of an accident. A couple guys in front of us got together and ran out of room on track. But we're still searching for that win. And but yeah, 4 podiums. And the big kicker, actually, before drops, I went in to the final race. I was actually 5th place in the points. And I'm like, this season's been a lot better than the first one. I don't want to finish just one spot better.
Better, yeah.
But I went in, I knew what I had to do, finished 3rd in that final race. And crazy enough, before the drops, I was actually to go from 5th in the points to 2nd, but then with the drops to 3rd. So I'm pretty satisfied with how we performed this year.
Yeah,
Obviously,
and I think people are noticing that too.
Right.
You're becoming that guy probably around the track that other karters are coming to for help.
Mm-hmm.
You said you learned a lot. I know you've got a kind of a loose knit race team. I'm sure you're helping you're all helping each other.
Right.
But your knowledge certainly helped a couple of the additions to your team as well, I'm sure.
It's fantastic. I mean, just the connections I've been able to work with, like the whole first year, it was kind of the whole Margay racing team. They just kind of gave me a go-kart and, you do this on your own. With the deal that I worked out this year, like I said, with the part-time job doing video production stuff with Margay, I've been able to work a lot closer with some of those mechanics and higher ups at Margay to be able to get some more factory support, some mechanical help, during the race. So where, what typically a normal race weekend looks like for me, I might spend that Wednesday or Thursday before the weekend prepping the kart, going through the carburetor, the clutch, getting just that baseline ready to race. And then once I get, intense into a race weekend, my good buddy from Margay, Greg Dingus, he actually will come over and give that fine tune to the carburetor. The track's getting hotter, the temperature's doing this. We got to, adjust it like that. And he does like a lot of the fine tuning for me. But for the most part, it's still me doing it. But definitely a lot of support with Margay. And then being able to bounce that with the factory guys that know every single in and out of the kart and the engine. And then to be able to work with the whole Lauer Krug racing team side of things, not as experienced, but it's better to talk to the guys that are actually out on track. What are you doing tire pressure wise and things of that sort.
Yeah.
So you can bounce out so much information. I mean, it's just like you think of IndyCar or NASCAR when you've got Hendrick Motorsports with 4 cars out there and you have these crew chiefs doing different things. You can share a lot more information and kind of figure out where we need to go race pace wise.
I'm sure if you're listening, you could tell Bob's a little excited.
Well,
I mean,
it
I'm just watching your face, you folks listening again, but I think you can hear it in his voice, just how
it's intense,
how much you've gotten. I mean, I say gotten into it is like, it became a strong hobby. You're all in.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just, it went from a hobby, and then when you get into it, my first year running rookie, my year last year, it was like, okay, this is cool. Had the opportunity to do it this year, and with the proper help and actually learning the knowledge and everything and being able to perform as well as I am, and with some of the opportunities I've, in the future that I'm able to pursue, which we'll get into here in a second. I really want to put more than just, 90% that I did last year. I want to be 120%, all my focus.
Yeah.
Besides education and work, obviously. But
you're going to graduate college this year. Just in 2020.
Right.
May of 2020, you'll graduate. You've probably got a good idea where you kind of want to go, but it's not all set in stone yet. You got the racing career going. What's coming, Bob? What's coming for you as we head into 2020?
Well, this will be like the first time that this is said in a public forum. So a What's That Like podcast exclusive.
All right.
There is a talk with my partnership with Margay Racing to continue that into 2020. Right now looking at competing once again at the Gateway Kartplex for my 3rd consecutive season in the Ignite Series senior class. Also an opportunity to do the Challenge Series, which, as I mentioned, that's the travel series. It's kind of similar to a karting series that I don't know if they still run, but it's the I-55 track challenge, and they'll travel up up north to Mid-State Kart Club, just outside of Springfield, Illinois. We'll go up to Iowa to 61 Kartways, a couple other places still potentially to change where they're going to go, but a lot of, regional races. So I think that's one thing that I've heard in the garage area is, you can only get so good running one place. Even though the Kartplex does a really good job of switching everything out, they'll change the track layout so we don't get too bored of running the same thing. But when you go from running a place that's built, not necessarily on a parking lot with barriers, but that's what it is. When you change that and you go to places like 61 Kartways that's known for the elevation change and runoff room, you're going in the grass. I mean, I've never at the Kartplex, there's nowhere to run off into grass. So It's just different. You're going from different, what I would consider the Kartplex is almost being like a skid pad layout where it's just, they set up the track on like an existing concrete, whatever, to actually go into a purpose-built facility that feels like a racetrack, to street circuits, stuff like that. So I feel like the more different places you can go to and make that variety of things, that just ends up putting more tools in your tool bag of knowledge that when you're out on track, you can figure out how to do things differently.
Is next year kind of a make or break year for you in terms of going beyond karting?
I think so. I think with not only the skill that I have on track, but the video production side of it, just how I am not only a good asset for the company because I do well when I'm performing and people at the track notice that, but I think the audience that I've acquired, I'm also a marketing asset. So as much as I enjoy being able to continue that contract through my marketing ability, I really want to show that I'm not just the video guy, that I can also do the racing and be a good racer and hopefully be able to compete. As I am considered a factory driver, I want to be a factory driver. I want to go race with Margay, and I want to, whether that's, I don't think Supernats in Las Vegas, that's like the big event in karting. I don't think that's necessarily on the horizon, but just to be able to go to some of the places where it's open class stuff, where there's different manufacturers, I think that would be cool to be able to represent Margay at, a big national event.
Yeah. And if you're listening, don't discount what he's got going on. This is the real deal. Thousands and thousands of dollars of equipment, the teams that you're competing against, the support they have. We're talking people with RVs, trailers, a trailer's full of switchable parts out to fine tune these karts, and you're competing very well with them. Bob, couldn't be prouder of you as you do this. I've been following you literally from your first day to go down to the Kartplex to take a ride and to see where you've come in the last 2 or 3 years. It's amazing to me. I'm proud of you, buddy. That's all I can say. Everyone at What's That Like Nation's proud of you. It's awesome.
It's been just as crazy for me. I mean, it's like that dream that you've had as a kid to be a race car driver. And I'm sure I said that on the first episode of the podcast, but it's just weird to see how it's all waterfalled, down into this big, massive, craziness.
Yeah. Go back to season 1, episode 1 and listen to the kid on that podcast that I will say was kind of unsure of himself, kind of excited, kind of nervous, to what you're listening to today. 2 totally different people, dude.
Right.
It's awesome. It really is. And you said this, you don't want to just be known as the video guy, but the reason you're known as the video guy is your stuff is so good. You've got a channel. Tell us about your channel on YouTube.
Yeah, I've ever since I was in junior high, I'd always been making videos, mostly with my friends, mostly video game content. And as I got older, it kind of reestablished itself. And now the big thing is video production. So with the big focus this year was obviously my racing series, just to be able to do video blogs, vlogs as they're called, of my day, kind of like your video podcasts that you put out, where you go out and you experience something cool. Well, except that the cool thing is just me going out and racing. So you pretty much, you hang out with me for 10 minutes on this video and you kind of walk through my race day.
The real difference is I do it with my iPhone and a selfie stick and a shaky camera and poor editing. Yours is network quality, dude. I mean, if I watch, I show people your stuff, I'll pull it up on the screen. I go, well, look at this. Look at how this looks. The lighting, the shading, the paying attention to everything that you're doing, the details, the music, everything is there. I'm amazed. I shouldn't be amazed because I expect it to be good from you, but do yourselves a favor. Check this out. YouTube.com/ATA network, right? Mm-hmm. Go find it. There's plenty of times I've shared it on my Facebook page. You'll find it at, you've got you've got a couple of Facebook pages supported as well. Where do they find that?
It's facebook.com/ATA network for the channel. It is facebook.com/Bobby Krug 51 for my personal race page. And that's pretty much the two ones you really need to know. And the other cool thing with the YouTube channel, if you're going to go to the channel and you want to watch something, and this is your first time really taking a deep dive into my karting scene, just watch the most recent one, the season recap, because you're gonna see the whole season in a short form video, and then that's when you can really decide if you want to go through and see the whole glimpse of the year through the individual videos. But yeah, it's super cool. Cool.
And you know what? It follows you. It's a reality series, is what I would call it. It's your ups, your downs. Sometimes you're doing well. Sometimes you're documenting. I don't know what the hell
I'm going to start using that.
Yeah. Sometimes you're documenting the days that didn't go so well. And you know, the emotions there with what you did. And it
that's the thing.
It's really good, dude.
Although there is a partnership with Margay, like I'm not going to make everything look like it's an ad and it's all sunshine and rainbows. You have bad days and good days. So whether I'm, getting poles and finishing on the podium, or I've got this conflict going on with some other driver and we completely hate each other and we're taking out our frustrations out on track, I'm going to be completely transparent with my audience and tell it how it is.
Yeah. Just don't pull their helmet off their head and
hit them with it. Yeah, I saw that.
That's not a racing thing. That's my Steelers, man, and the Browns. But you're certainly busy. You got a couple. What degree are you going to have in school when you're done?
I'm going to have a mass communications and a business degree when I'm done.
So if you're listening to this and you have any need for that as a person, I mean, that's in that business that needs some support, go look at Bob's racing videos. I mean, that's the best resume you could be creating. Mm-hmm. It really is that good.
Well, that's the other cool thing that I'm wanting to do with next year is, I'm also looking back at sponsors again, just because, we're doing the travel series too. It's going to be more important than ever to be able to go out and try to get that kind of funding. And that's actually going to be part of my sponsorship deal. If there's any companies out there that's interested in sponsoring, it's not just, throwing your name on the side of a go-kart. There's going to be some marketing tools. I've got the experience of putting together all these promotional videos for companies, building some websites, graphic design. There's a whole package of things that you can work with. It's not necessarily you're partnering up with Bobby Krug, the race car driver, but you're marketing with the ATA network and what I can do for you.
That's the best way I could think you say it. You haven't been on the podcast for this year, man. How's that going? You miss it?
I mean, it's cool. I do miss it. I've been keeping, up. I just, I'm hearing about this 5-timers club.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Zach Weigel came on for the 5th time.
Yeah. You know how many times I've been on the show?
Probably more than 5.
Yeah. So, is there, some dues to pay to...
Do you want a 5-timers club robe too? Is that what you're saying?
Whatever you give him for 5-timers, I think I deserve something like 2x, 3 times better.
You worked here. That'd be like saying I need a 5-timers. I need a 40-timers robe. That's not happening. B, who was one of your sponsors on your karting career, man?
That's a good point.
Yeah,
you talking
about body photography and
Dexco Home Renovations
and the What's That Like podcast.
That's a good.
So maybe that helped you out a little bit,
just a little bit, and I still think
maybe there's something in
there's got to be something.
Every time I shoot a picture in the studio, what's in the frame, the 51. I'm a big supporter, so you get your mention.
Big fan. That sticker up there cost a lot of money.
It did. It's nice. But anyway, who's happy you're gone is my friend Greg Shively.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? He's been too busy. I haven't called him anyway, so it kind of worked out for you.
I was about to say
you don't have to cut him off
for every good
anymore.
thing. There's a bad thing, and that's the good thing.
Yeah.
I still, I keep my feet in the door a little bit here, so I'm watching.
Well, he's coming back. We're gonna have a show with him in the spring. It's here's a preview. Greg toured. I shouldn't say toured. He visited at a game. He did all 30 major league ballparks.
Okay.
So that's a good what's that like, don't you think?
That is really good.
Yeah. Maybe we can mend some fences between you and him. You think that's possible?
I mean, we could just get Zach Hampel on. Do you know who that is?
No.
He's a YouTuber, and he's actually like a ball hawker. and he makes YouTube videos. He's kind of like the me of baseball park touring.
Really?
So I think, we can probably replace that episode with Greg with my buddy Zach.
But I know Greg. Greg's my friend.
Yeah, but I know Zach.
Okay. Well, you know what? When you go to your own podcast, you can do what you want to do. Is that a foreshadow of anything?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, Bobby might be starting his own podcast.
Might be, might not be.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll have to see.
You just have to stay tuned. Bob, any parting words for everyone?
No, I just want to, once again, thank you for everything. We've had a very enjoyable past couple of years doing this podcast,
and it'll continue.
All the things that we've been able to do.
You're part of the family, man.
Oh yeah, no, this isn't no goodbye message, but
yeah.
And then thanks to all the viewers and listeners out there to tuning into this What's That Like podcast. It's been fun to interact with everybody over the couple of years.
That's right. It's like, you did a lot of the Queen of Hearts too. You became famous then too, didn't you?
Yeah, that was intense when your phone was about to die of battery and I'm there trying to get an extension cable plugged up.
All behind the scenes.
For thousands of people that are watching.
It has happened. And then when you weren't there, it actually did die on me one time. That was bad.
It was better than when I did it and I couldn't get it streaming to the...
That's true.
That's...
You know what I thought of the other day is, everybody that's listening, I'm sure you've seen them on Facebook, this woman versus cat meme thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, this came out all too late for me as the Queen of Hearts isn't going on right now. Anyway, I can just see people with that screaming woman going, I can't watch the Queen of Hearts anymore. And I was going to be the cat going, just go to Turner Hall. That's it. I mean, that's it. That's the description of the meme I would have made.
Well, I mean, I still might be able to use it if people, you get that next year or whatever, but
it'll happen. Even today, went to the lumberyard. People are still wanting to see it. But,
maybe that's your next t-shirt design.
Yeah,
just that meme.
Bob, thanks for coming on, buddy. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. So that's a catch-up time with Bob. Good to hear from him. And, of course, he'll be back on the show at some point as well. He's always going to be a part of the What's That Like family, and the What's That Like Nation will be coming right at you. So here's another interview we did a couple of weeks ago, and I had to delay putting this out just because I had some other scheduling things, but I apologize to a couple of folks, Peyton and Mike Bertolis. And Peyton and Mike Bertolis, about a year ago, I think it was. We'll hear all about it in the show. They started a nonprofit to give kids bicycles. A lot of kids today don't get out. A lot of kids today don't have bikes. Maybe they can't afford bikes, or they've got a bike that doesn't fit them anymore. And Peyton and her dad were looking to buy some bikes at one point in time and just, fix them up and sell them. And Peyton said, Dad, why don't we just give these bikes to some kids in need? And Peace, Love, and Bicycles was born. I actually was looking for a bike, and I called him and said, hey, you have any bikes? And Mike was able to hook me up with one, and I gave him a donation for it, and you can do that too. So even though they'll hook you up with a bike if you need it, they certainly need some help as well, and they'll tell you all about that in the upcoming interview. So here we go. Peyton and Mike Bertolis starting a not-for-profit for bicycles. What's that like? Peace, Love, Bicycles. We're here with Mike Bertolis and Peyton Bertolis. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
I'm doing great.
Doing good, and it's a nice Saturday morning here. What do you think of Studio 312 here?
I
Looks
like
good.
it. It's
Yeah.
pretty. I have the same lights in my bedroom.
There you go. So, Studio 312 on par with how old are you?
I'm 12.
12-year-old's bedroom. There you go. That's how high-tech we are here. But the reason we had you both come over is you've got an organization that you started called Peace, Love, and Bicycles. And I don't know, who do I throw this to? Who's the inspiration behind Peace, Love, and Bicycles?
Me.
Okay, Peyton, tell me a little bit about it.
So we were driving home from caffeine, and Dad was just going to sell them to make a few bucks. And
Sell what, some bikes?
yeah, and to make money. And well, I was thinking, why not don't just sell them to make money? Why not just take them and give them to kids for free? Because I see people walking around everywhere in Mount Olive, Benilde, Gillespie, everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want them just walk. I want them to have a bike.
And so she says this, Mike. What was your original thought? You just wanted to kind of flip some bikes?
Well, at first, I didn't think it would take off.
Mhm.
I thought, it just, people take it as a fluke.
Yeah.
People are out here to rip people off. It would never take off. I said, if you want to try, we'll try. So when we bought the bikes from Coffeen, we put them out for sale. Well, a bunch of kids came up, said they needed a bike.
Mm-hmm.
She asked them, do you have any money? They said no. I said, then just take the bikes.
but as you were saying, you started because you thought, well, we got some used bikes. We'll fix them up. We'll sell them, make a few bucks, right?
Yeah.
That's how that was your original thought, right?
Well, I wanted her to have money for the carnivals, to learn the value of $1.
Yeah.
And try to earn a little bit of money on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Did I think it was going to turn into this big? No.
But then, as you said, Peyton, you said, why don't we just give them away? Kids need bikes, right? And that's how it started? Is that really it? And so when was this? How long ago has this been going on?
Oh my goodness.
Wow. 6-7 months?
Yeah. Earlier this spring, probably in 2019?
Yep.
Yeah. And where are you getting the bikes? How's this happening?
We get them donated everywhere.
And are you just driving around picking them up?
Yep.
Yep. People donate them to us. We drive around. We pick them up. After we fix them up, we take them to people who need them, or they come to the house to pick them up. So far, probably over 200 bikes.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's the farthest you've gone to get bikes, or somebody's brought you bikes from?
The farthest.
Glen
is-
Carbon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glen Carbon.
I got people up in Peoria and Pekin want me to pick up bikes.
How'd they hear about you?
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
We have a
Facebook?
Facebook page, Peace, Love, and Bicycles. Everybody gets on there. I run ads,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes over Instagram, Facebook, and people see them, contact me, and want me to pick up the bikes.
I usually get called out in school. They're like, "Oh my goodness, are you Peyton Verholz?" I said, "Yeah," and they're like, "Oh, you're from PLB?" And I said, "Yeah, Peace, Love, and Bicycle." They go, "Oh, that's really cool. You know what you're doing." I said, "Thank you."
Yeah. So tell me about some of the stories. What are some of the coolest stories that you've had out of
The first
this?
one, the very first bike I got rid of, to a child in Staunton.
Mm-hmm.
It was a brand new bike. It was one that we bought, still in the box.
Yep.
Put it together. His mom said that they'd buy it. I told him she'd offer me $20. I get to the house. The little boy comes out and says, "Mister, my mom and dad don't have the money to buy a bike, but I would trade you my old one in. There's an old rusted BMX bike." I said, "I tell you what," by that time his mom come out. She said, No. We're going to buy the bike. I said, "No, I'm making a deal with him." I said, "A handshake and your old bike, you can have the new one." And to this day, he still rides. And I see him out there riding all the time.
Yeah. What about you, Peyton? What's been the coolest story you've had?
Probably when me and Dad were putting a bike together, I thought it was really cool. Like, I was actually doing this. I was so happy and proud of myself and Dad. And, like, when we were putting the bikes together, I was learned how to do it because I hardly know. I know how to put a bike together, but, like, I don't know how to, I know how to rest the chain, but it's, like, putting on the chain and putting the handlebars on and the seat on. It's really hard, but thought it was pretty cool that Dad was teaching me.
So if I told you to go out in the garage, take a bike apart, put it back together, you could do it. You know what wrench sizes and all that stuff would be?
Probably not.
No? How's that work, Mike?
Well, I know from experience, I was her age when I had my first bike shop in Benel when I was growing up.
Uh-huh.
So I know most of their sizes just by heart.
Yeah, you can look at it and go, that's a, whatever, 7/16 or it's a 14
15.
millimeter, whatever. Yeah.
15 millimeter
Yeah.
is the most popular.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I'm trying to teach the kids that come to the house how to tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a certain bike might have a 3/4 inch nut for the holding the wheels on.
Yeah.
And they don't understand, what's 3/4? This guy's 3 to slashing a 4.
Yeah.
And so they're understands math too.
So it's a learning experience for folks
Yeah.
too. Yeah. So you said you've gotten over 200 bikes. I mean, I guess are the 20-inch BMX type the most popular things you get? What's kind of like have you gotten any like hidden gems? You're like, oh my God, this is like a holy grail type bike or anything like that.
I think we only had like 2 of them that, or one.
We got a couple old Haros, Mongooses,
Mm-hmm.
a couple old GTs that I know they're worth a lot of money, but I'd rather see a kid ride one. I mean, I've had my own private, personal bikes that I've had in storage. So I brought those out, put them together, let the kids see them, and I did sell 2 of them, $25.
Yeah.
But to a child those.
So are you you'll give a kid a bike if he wants it or needs it. You're taking donations too. We did a swap outside here. I'll give you a couple bucks as we leave for the other one. But bottom line is, are you funding this mostly out of pocket, or is enough donations coming in?
Out of pocket, really.
Out of pocket.
Yeah.
And the tires and tubes are the most expensive. I buy them on bulk. I get on eBay. I buy tires and tubes in bulk. I do it that way. And even the kids come from town. Now, I got a couple of them that come around. They said, "Oh, I blew a tire."
Mm-hmm.
They go into the garage, give them a tube, change it out, and they're on their way.
They're on their way. So you've had over 200 bikes donated. How many do you have yet?
You just sold a lot of bikes.
We just
like yesterday.
I have a friend in Sereno.
Mm-hmm.
They run a bike shop, and when the bikes I don't use or I got too many, they come and pick them up. At 30 or 40 of them the other day. I still probably got 15 or 20 in the backyard.
And did I see you were trying to get an event or something going the other day? You were trying to look for a place to get them out there.
We're running a bike show. We'll have a bike show and a swap meet that we wanted to sponsor it.
Yeah.
Sponsor a bike show, swap meet, to everybody come out with their bikes, no matter what shape they're in, what the condition, and try to get our name out there. I've been in talks with Haro Bikes. They're going to try to sponsor us if they can. I've talked to Bell Sports about the tires, the tubes, and seats. They kind of blew me off.
So we're down with them.
Yeah. They told me to contact Walmart and all of their stuff.
Yeah.
Try and get sponsorship from them or donations.
Yeah. What is it you need if people are listening to this and you're going, I've got, or I want you to say what you need, that if people are listening, they go, oh, I might have this. What is it, some of the things you're looking for?
We really need a giant place to place the bikes. I was thinking maybe we can get a place and get it going. It may take a few days to get it running and up, but make a bike shop and people can just start coming there and buying the bikes there. Or
You're looking for a physical location in the host this. Yeah.
My garage is too small.
Way too small.
Yeah. What are some of the material? I mean, are you looking if somebody wanted to donate some money, somebody wanted to donate some tires, some tubes, some materials, what are the things you're looking for?
Seats, tires, tubes,
Pedals.
chains.
Helmets.
Helmets, probably a big thing. Yeah, helmets, getting helmets. Yeah, that'd be nice.
We're in partnership with a bike shop in Litchfield.
Yep.
Called Rebuilt Bike Shop. He donated a whole bag of brand new helmets to us.
Oh, that's great.
And they were gone so fast.
Problem is, we tell the kids, the parents, that they want a bike helmet, they can, but a lot of them bypass the helmets.
Yeah.
We give them away for free.
Let's talk a little bit about what you guys are doing day to day. So you're getting all these bikes, and some of them are in good shape, some are in bad shape. I mean, how many Frankensteins have you built here? Parts of this bike and parts of that bike. What's some of the coolest things you kind of had to put together?
Most of our bikes are rusty and really, really bad. But most of them are brand new, haven't been rode, but the back or front tire is popped, the seat's torn, chain rusted.
So you're taking the seat off this one, the tire off of that one.
And changing around.
Yeah. And you said you got a lot of bikes brand new?
Yeah, we've got a lot of them that were not even ridden.
Yeah.
And they've been sitting in people's garages, and they give them to us, take them home. I personally wash them, clean them all up, adjust the brakes, change the tires. And I personally will ride the bike before I let any kid ride the bike. I don't care if it's pink or not. I'm going to make sure it's safe.
What's his favorite color to ride there, Peyton? Is it pink?
No, it's probably his, how do you call it? It's like that silver bike.
Chrome.
His chrome bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do tricks and jumps and?
No, he just rides it. He looks
I'm
like
too old for that now.
What's the thing that you've learned out of this, Peyton? You guys started this. You went to flip a couple of bikes for a couple of bucks, and then the next thing you know, you've got this whole thing going. What have you learned? You're 12.
I've probably learned that, like, to be helpful, and it's good to do this. I don't know. It's like what I learned out of this is it's really fun when you spend time with your dad. It's like a one-on-one time.
That's sweet. How's that make you feel?
I love it.
Yeah.
I drive a truck. I own my own trucking company, and I do this on the side. And this has turned out to be a full-time job. I didn't think there was a need for something like this. People just take a bike for granted, throw it in the trash, throw it out in the dumpster, and there's a kid in need.
Yeah, I didn't really think of that.
There's one story that I didn't know the impact that we had on people. There's a kid named Spencer. He's, how do you want to put it, kind of had a mental handicap. And 17 years old, and his grandma didn't have a whole lot of money to buy a bike. They heard about us. He come there, pick up a bike, and his grandma was moved to tears because he was happy that he finally had a bike, because he lives in a home. They have to share a bike with everybody else. He didn't have his own, and he broke his hip, and that was his therapy, was riding a bike. And when she was moved to the tears, it let me know that we're needed, and I won't give it up.
That's awesome.
No matter how tired, I'm up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning working on bikes because I got somebody that needs it, wants it, and it's my drive.
It's awesome. So you got the Facebook page, Peace Love Bicycles, right?
Yep.
And if anybody has bikes, that's probably the best way to get a hold of you. Shoot you a message through there.
Yep.
If someone's looking for a bike, same thing.
We're trying to build a base where people can trust us, because I know there's a lot of people that don't want to give to that because they're afraid that we'll take the money and spend it where it don't belong, which goes right back to the bikes.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not like you got this big, shell company that's hidden behind it.
No.
You're a dad and a daughter with a small garage and a bunch of bicycles, right? So what's not to trust here?
You can't miss our house. I mean, if you go by our house,
You get a lot of
we
stairs.
have kids' bicycles all in the front yard.
Mm-hmm.
Neighborhood kids' bikes in the front yard, a backyard full of bikes. My garage door's open, and I got parts laying everywhere. You can't even walk through my garage. I got 3 bike
you trip over
stands.
everything.
It just amazes me that these people come out. I mean, just yesterday I gave away 2 bikes. The day before 5, got 4 in the same day.
Yeah.
It's every day. I mean, even on Sundays, I'm out in the shop working on bikes.
And that's what you like to do. And just even today, you guys had something to do that's bike related, but you're not actually working on bikes. You get to come over here and talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun.
I do it because I want her to have something that when she gets older, hopefully, I like to see us become a full-fledged business to where her name is affiliated to it. So she has something built up that she can carry on.
Well, in that, I thought I read something. Maybe it was the article in the paper you guys had. Peace, Love, Bicycles, PLB. What significance does that have?
My whole initial.
Yeah. What's your name?
Peyton Lynn Bertolis.
There you go.
Yep.
So it'll always be with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was that a happy coincidence or thought out?
Dad thought it of.
I thought of it. She had I can't remember the name of it, but I sit there and thinking of her name. How can I symbolize her? Because this is her dream. This is what she drew up.
Yeah.
I said, Peace, Love, Bicycles, Peyton Lynn Bertolis.
Nailed it right there.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they were trying to show peace and love through bicycles.
And this world's nuts today. I mean, you know, I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, this one rule on this show is we don't talk politics or religion, either one of those things. You know, the world needs more religion. It's just everybody's got a different idea of it. And God, I'm so sick of politics. I'm not going to talk about it. What you guys are doing outside of all that, whatever the race, creed, religion, politics, kid just needs a bike. Get him a bike.
We've had
that's all that it's about.
There's more kids on bikes in town today because of us than we've ever seen. And I've had parents stop by and say, thank you for getting my kid out from behind the TV.
Well, that's great. It's been a good summer then for you.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
You know, and the newspaper article, when they contacted me for that blew me away. Because she thought we were just in business for a couple of days. I said, no, we've been in business doing this for about 5 months.
Well, it's the same thing with me. I knew about it. I thought, you know, I need a different bike. And I looked on Facebook, searched bike, and you guys popped up. I'm like a lightning bolt hit me in the head. It's like, why don't I talk to you? And as I'm typing the first text, the second text is like, you got to come on the show. It's a great story. And why not have you on the show? I mean, it just is something that we're trying to do with this, is just get the word out on these interesting people, places, or events. And you guys certainly qualify for something good for this community. You know, the community at large, not just Mount Olive, but, you know, where's the farthest away you've given a bike away?
I've taken bikes to Glen Carbon, Alton, Wood River, Springfield, Carlinville. I mean, I go all over.
Yeah.
Oh, St. Louis too.
St. Louis.
There you go. You're multi-state now.
We want to go out further.
Yeah.
We want to keep pushing it further and further, because I see a lot of ads on Facebook. People's asking $30, $40 for a bike. When there's kids in need, give that bike to them. They can't afford it. You know, there's a child here in town that has a anxiety disorder, and his only comfort he had was riding his bike.
Yeah.
And his bike was broke, so he's riding his sister's 16-inch bike just to get that comfort.
Yeah.
And he still rides over to my house to this day on the new bike that he got and thanks me.
That's awesome. You guys doing great things. I can't say enough about how cool what you're doing is. This is neat.
I hope it keeps going. I hope it can keep doing it to where it's full time. If I can find a building that somebody would let us rent or donate the time and space to us and allow us to grow, and we have a full-fledged place, instead of everybody coming to my house.
Yeah.
But that's hard.
That's hard. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, that costs money.
Yeah.
What you're doing now, you're kind of doing out of love, and, you know, it's kind of hopefully funding itself. But you said, you know, you're pulling money out of your pocket, but...
Because what we want to do is we want to try to have an after-school program for the kids to come, learn how to put bikes together. I got a storage shed full of parts, and they come there to work on their bikes. They're not... The parents know where their kids are at. And I think it's a good learning thing.
Absolutely.
To learn hands-on, you know, to work on a bike. I did it when I was 11, and I haven't forgot. I still do it. I take that knowledge and keep going on and on. And hopefully we can one day make this a reality.
Yeah. You got a great idea here. I mean, you got peace, love, and bicycles. This could go any number of places as long as you guys want to take it, and Peyton, as you grow with it and how you want to take it.
Yeah.
Bicycles is great. Everybody needs them, right?
Yep. Everybody has a childhood memory of a bicycle. And I know mine, I got plenty of them on a bike. And we want to spread that to everybody else, even kids who don't even have a bike. There's one little girl here in town that is the first time she ever rode a bike. She drives by my house. She thanks me every time.
And that's why you do it.
Yep.
And that's why you do it.
And that's the motivation.
Yeah.
That keeps us going.
Peyton, the story I would ask is, your dad's talking about it, and I'm starting to think about what my favorite bike was when I was growing up. What was your favorite bike?
My favorite bike is the fantasy one. It's rainbow, and my dad bought it for me. It was from Walmart, and it's really pretty.
And do you have a name for it?
Fantasy.
Fantasy?
Yeah.
You just call it fantasy? What's your favorite bike, Mike?
Probably the one I had when I was a kid was a CW Racing.
Yeah?
That's my first and only bike that I've had was growing up. And I kept it until I got my driver's license.
Really? Yeah. I will tell you this, it's kind of politically incorrect to like this stuff anymore, which I think is silly, but at the end, I had a Dukes of Hazzard bike.
Really?
You know, and it had the 01, you know, like a racing plate, number plate on the on the handlebars.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember this, I know. You remember the raw power?
Yeah.
It made you replace the handle or the grip with this thing, and you go wing, and make it sound. That was the coolest bike ever.
We're giving away our age.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then we were jumping them and doing all this crazy stuff, and all the pads that you put on the handlebars and the but what's the bar that comes from the handlebar to the seat? There's a name for it. You're the bike guy.
Crossbar.
The crossbar.
Top tube.
And you had to put a pad on that because us dudes. You needed to have a pad on it, right?
Yeah. I didn't run pads on my bikes.
Well, I needed them a couple times because I started talking like,
Yeah.
you do crazy things on the bikes.
Been there, done. I destroyed so many bikes over the years, and how I'm still surviving.
So you're making it up to bikes now by fixing them back up.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you have a goal? Like, I mean, you said you'd like to have a shop and get this going. Is there a certain number of bikes you'd like to crank out this year in your first year? Is that something you've even thought about?
No. I don't even think I could even, just by myself, I could even keep up with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it blows my mind today. I know there was a church in Sorrento. We had over 100 bikes. They took every single one of them.
Yeah.
And they donated them to down in St. Louis to homeless people and
Lifeline Fellowship.
Hmm?
Lifeline Fellowship.
Yep.
That's the one I go to.
And they donated them to all the people down in St. Louis and stuff. They got rid of every single one of them. And so I couldn't even imagine trying to keep up with them. A certain goal I want to put out.
The goal is just to get enough done that you can, whatever you can do. Yeah.
We have a motto that she came up with is making people happy one bike at a time.
That's a good motto. That's nice. What do you hope to get out of this? You're 12?
Probably want to start helping picking up bikes and picking up the parts and putting them together and oiling the chains and all that. So basically want to help out, like bring it to more
more people, more help, more kids.
Because we get people coming over to help us do the bikes and stuff every day.
Peace, love, bicycles. Can't say enough about it. I'm going to give the WTL Nation stamp of approval for this organization. If somebody wants to help Peyton and Mike out, where do you go? Just like we said before, the Facebook page, and you've got a link there that somebody could, send you a couple of dollars through PayPal or Venmo or whatever you've got on there, right?
Yep.
So there you go. Peace, love, bicycles. Search him on Facebook. Mike Bertolis, Peyton Bertolis, the founders of Peace, Love, and Bicycles. PLB, baby, right?
Yep. All the way.
All right. Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you for inviting us.
Well, there you go. That was Peyton and Mike Bertolis. A good interview we had with them. I want to thank them for coming over here to Studio 312 and telling us their story. Go to Peace, Love, and Bicycles on Facebook. Peace, Love, and Bicycles on Facebook. They've got a page there. There's a link. It is a PayPal me link. If you'd like to make a donation to Peace, Love, and Bicycles, simply click on that link. Anything would help. $1, $2, $5, $25, $50 helps them out. It puts tires and tubes and parts on these bikes that puts it in the hands and the feet of kids that really they're in need. And it's the holiday season. I know you're all wanting to give, and this one's certainly something you can contribute to and make a difference to a local not-for-profit organization. I'm not sure they're 501c3 registered, but you know what? They're buying bicycle parts, for God's sake. They're not ripping anybody off. So if you can, throw them a couple bucks and they'll get some bikes out there to some kids in need. That's it for this episode of the What's That Like podcast. I want to thank Bob for coming on at the start of the show. Once again, brought to you by the Opera House Brewing Company. Peace out. What's That Like is available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Search for What's That Like. Subscribe today and never miss an episode. Streaming is available at SoundCloud.com and on the SoundCloud app. Follow What's That Like at Facebook.com/What's That Like Podcast and on Twitter at What's That Like Pod. All opinions of the guests of the What's That Like podcast are their own, not necessarily the views of the host or the podcast producers. We hope you enjoy this podcast serving Central Illinois and beyond. Peace out!